Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at our first night of play-in games in this NBA season, Nate. In this one, we are going to take a look at some player props as we'll continue to bring those to you each and every playoff night that we have here on the weekdays. And make sure that you are liked and subscribed to the page. Also got the game videos up for tonight's matchups. As I said, first night of those play-in games. Make sure you do check out Nate's great article up on playpicks.com as well. And head over to the Lines.com. Make sure you check out who's in and out of those lineups and during these playoff matchups, as well as check out that odds checker and props tool. Make sure you're getting the best juice available on all those bets out there. And we also have the daily pick'em challenge with the opportunity for you guys to win a $25 Amazon gift card if you get all of your picks correct on that. So make sure you check that out throughout the playoffs as well. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, we've got Karl-Anthony Towns listed a little too high, in my opinion. These are, we're getting into the playoffs. I'm ready to start taking some unders, and I will take the under on 27.5 points for Cat in this matchup. It's nearly even money. You don't get it as good odds when you go under 39.5 points rebounds, but I think that's even a little safer. His rebounding has been pretty inconsistent down the stretch here. In the playoffs, he did board up his one playoff series against the Thunder back in 2018, but only scored 15 points per game in that series. The Clippers, you might think of as a vulnerable team down low, and they are a bad rebounding team, but recently, they've been able to figure out their defense. They're allowing the seventh fewest points per game to centers in their last seven. While they've been giving up a lot of boards to centers, they still limit shots at the rim. And as Zach Lowe unearthed in his podcast, Isaiah Hartenstein actually allows the lowest percentage at the rim this season, backing up Zubac, who is a big body and decent at verticality. And then it's really about the scheme for me. Since Ty Lue took over basically 2 years ago, Cat is getting just 16 points per game. With a 98.5 offensive rating in 5 games against the Clippers. He's really cooled off since he dropped that 60-piece against the Spurs, averaging 23 points, 9.5 rebounds. Again, not close to 40 the combined you need. And he only hit 28 points in these juicy matchups against Denver, an exhausted Nikola Jokic, against the Lakers, no explanation needed, and the Rockets, the worst defensive team in the league. I think Christian Wood was even out for that game, so no resistance down there. This is a playoff game. I don't think Cat is getting 28 points.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I love the under with the rebounds. I understand, he's boarded up in his playoff career, but that's about it. And so, I suppose you feel really good about him not getting it more so because of the points. And it's honestly just as unlikely. So if you do like the juice that you get with that minus 105 for under 27.5 points, I go for it. But I do think it is slightly safer to add the rebounds to it. Obviously, so does Vegas. So just about the amount of risk you want to take on that one with Cat. I'm going to move on and stay in the same game, but move on to Reggie Jackson here. And I think we had to find a Clipper. Paul George is at about 27.5 points. His props are super high in this one. As we mentioned in the game video, the best value bet in this one is the Clippers. So I'm not really touching the total here at 230, but I think it's properly set and it'll be pretty close. So I think RJax does get over 17.5 points as the second banana in this game, which he's basically been, we talk about in that game video, he's been the second banana whenever we have this Clippers team in its current iteration, which is exactly what we had in last year's playoffs once Kawhi went down. And then what we've had, the last 7-8 games of the season since PG came back to the lineup this season. So, he's what he does when PG is in the lineup this season. We're talking about 17.5 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. His prop sits at about 17.5 points, minus 105 on DraftKings. I actually like over 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists because he also does start to dime up a little bit more and stay at about 4 rebounds when Paul George is playing this season. And I think it is relevant to look at his playoff numbers once, specifically in the 8 games that his last 8 playoff games specifically, which started with Kawhi going down and then them playing, another 7 games without Kawhi. And, Reggie Jackson ended those 8 games with 21.5 points, 4 boards, and 4.5 assists in about 37.5 minutes a game. And then that's what we're going to see from him tonight. The usage rate was about 25% in those games in 37 minutes. And I think that's what you can expect to see once again from him in those games. He shot 48.5% from three or from the field. And he also was making 3 for 8 from 3-point land in those 8 games as well for about a 37% clip there. So with that usage rate, with those minutes, with the fact that he's the second banana on offense, I think this is a good night to pick him to either get those points or all points, rebounds, and assists.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch that matchup with him and Pat Bev, former practice foes, I'm sure, who get to go head to head. And Reggie has had some success. I mean, he had nothing going when the Clippers were blown out by the Wolves in January, but previous 3 versus the Wolves, and Pat Bev played in 2 of those, I believe, averaged 23 points per game, shot 56% from the floor. So I think, he probably will get over this. I think what you're saying in terms of him being second banana and Paul George, having too high of props, that's why I'm going to attack another under with Paul George at 27.5 points. I don't think he's getting there either. I think between Reggie and then you add Norman Powell and Robert Covington, who weren't on this roster in the playoffs last year, I think the Clippers will have a more balanced scoring attack. Marcus Morris, also a guy I was looking at for 13.5 points as a playoff performer. And I think the Wolves have done a good job on stars all season. Jared Vanderbilt could switch on to PG at times and help contain him. But the Wolves have surprisingly just almost shut down Luka, held him to his lowest stats. And Paul George is only averaging 22.5 in his last 7 against this team.
Yeah, I would just throw out there that Minnesota is the worst against point guards compared to shooting guards, small forwards. They're actually pretty good against shooting guards, against small forwards. Reggie Jackson's going to play a lot more of that true point guard. And I love the Mook bet as well. Marcus Morris Sr., another guy that you think play big in the playoffs.
Yeah, Mook is kind of a boom bust guy. I'm a little hesitant to fully endorse him, but
it's possible, and it'll eat into PG stats, helping that under for sure. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, if he gets going. Reggie isn't a stalwart defender, though, and D'Angelo Russell get to go against him quite often tonight here. Yeah. I mean, without Pat Bev on the Clips, they are a little more exploitable in the backcourt. In their last 15, they're allowing 23 points and 9 assists, 2 point guards. Russell is the point guard on offense, not Pat Bev, even if they switch defensively. In his last 6 against the Clippers, Russell, 20.5 points, 7.5 assists. His prop is only 24.5 points and assists tonight. You're getting minus 120 because it's pretty damn low. I guess he was dealing with an illness down the stretch, still put up 16 points and nearly 9 assists on a low usage rate his last 10 home games. We thought about Anthony Edwards in the spot too, but that is another real volatile option as a rookie. A second-year guy playing his first playoff game. I think Russell, as the elder statesman in that backcourt, is going to be a lot more of a calming presence here. And he's been in one playoff series as totally the man in Brooklyn, where he posted a 34% usage rate. This year, he's been much more efficient as a distributor and scorer, career high 112 offensive rating, and dropping 10.5 dimes per 100 possessions. If you like points here, if you like the pace of play, I think combining the assists for D'Lo, when he's getting plus 115 to get 8 assists, I think he gets at least 16 points for sure, because the Wolves, it's really those 3 guys that are scoring. And then you've got Beverly and Vanderbilt, who mostly just concentrate on the defensive end.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to pick Ant. We said in the game video, it's not going to surprise me if Ant Edwards goes off for 33 points in this game, shooting, 4 of 9 from 3 and just fast breaking, whatever. But if you want to talk about the safe bet here, it's 100% D'Angelo Russell in terms of one of the backcourt mates for the T-Wolves tonight. I looked at Ant's, just his last 10 games or so. He's averaging about 25 points in those 10, but he's only achieved 25 points or more 4 times, right? He's not scoring 25 more than he is. He's just going off when he does. And that's why his variance is so all over the place and not something that you want to really have to force a bet on. When you do have a guy like D'Lo, who with the assists added in there, love that for him. He's become a true point guard this season. His assist percentage is actually better than it's ever been as well, in terms of the amount of points that he is assisting on for his team. So he's crucial, and it's crazy to see how crucial he is when you look at when you just take him or one of these guys out of the lineup, as we talked about all season. They're much different. They've got all 3 tonight, and I think he's able to dime it up for sure. Last guy I'm going with tonight is younger Curry here, Seth Curry for the Nets. 11.5 points is his prop. It's not as money as it was when he was on the 76ers, and we love to be able to hit him at about 15, 16 points when he played so well with Joel Embiid, but he's still playing just fine as a spot up shooter rather than catching, getting those little dribble handoffs from Joel like he was. He's now, it's fine that he's a spot up shooter. He's in the Joe Harris role. And to be honest, despite the fact that he's much shorter than Joe, I really love him there. He's got just as good of a driving ability, in my opinion. 2.5 3-pointers. Like I said, you have to assume that he's going to be shooting the bulk of his shots from deep with KD and Kyrie handling the ball and driving and diming. So I think the 2.5 threes at plus 106 is a great bet. I definitely think he'll hit 2. It's going to be one of those games where I imagine he hits 2 and we're sitting there in the third quarter with him having 2 made threes going, please just pull one more. The only thing that would scare me there is once we get into the fourth quarter, we know Kevin Durant, if this game is close at all, which I don't know that it will be, to be honest, but if it is in any way, shape, or form, and KD's on the court, we know the ball is going his way. So the threes scare me a little bit more just because I do think they will try to run him off the line. And I mean, that's why it's at plus 106. It's the amount of shots that are going to be available for Seth Curry to hit 3 threes that are the reason that this bet sits at plus 106 on your money. Such good juice because it's a tough bet to make the call on. But the 11.5 points, minus 124 on FanDuel, obviously also Vegas telling us there, this is likely to happen. I think, he's come back. He started pretty terribly, honestly, for his standards with Brooklyn. But in his last 6 since the injury, 13 points a game, really great splits, which makes you happy to see. 49, 46% from 3. As we mentioned, those are a lot of spot up catch and shoot threes. And he's averaging 3 3-pointers made in those last 6 since the injury. So that would get you over the prop if you're feeling good about it. But the 11.5 points, just to finish off, because of that, at home with the Nets, he's averaging 14 points a game since he came over to the team, 15 overall on the season. So he's plenty likely to get over that 11.5 points, which I think is a really safe one. But if you want to get a little bit, more juice back there, the 3 made 3-pointers tonight as well.
Yeah, and if you don't feel great about either one, I would kind of take the middle road, 14.5 points and assists. For him getting a few assists, he does average 2.5 with the Nets. Didn't really have that slow start. I mean, you're saying he actually fit right in, and then they had a big game against the Sixers, which I could kind of see the same thing unfolding here, where it's just a runaway for the Nets, and Seth Curry's raining threes. 4 threes and a win is a juicy player performance double. As the Cavs are the second worst 3-point defense on the road since the All-Star break, third worst on the season at 37%. But since the All-Star break, 41%, they cannot guard the 3-point line. And I don't think this is yet the type of series where it's Kevin Durant and Kyrie dribbling the ball it's not a series, it's one game. But let's be honest, the Nets are not going to be afraid of this Cavs team. They're going to try to get some chemistry going. They're going to involve everybody. That's why I think Curry gets more assists. I think he gets more opportunities to take a one dribble pull up floater game that he has, as you mentioned. I think he'll be a lot more involved than you think, which is why I'm kind of going with the team approach rather than targeting one of those 2 superstars in this game. And then, once the Nets get into a knockdown, drag out series with the Celtics and Bucks or whatever, that's when you say, okay, it's all on KD, Kyrie, and it's ISO ball time.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair for sure. I think either way, there's plenty to like tonight. It seems like we're a little bit hesitant on the stars, which is, the guys who got us here, to be honest, in terms of the success we've had with player props. But it's just a night where there's going to be a lot of team ball, to your point, especially on those Clippers, where I do agree with you. There'll be the ball spread around there. And then, I think we'll see plenty of that in the Cavs and Nets game as well. So that is all the time we have for you in our first play in props video as we check out these two games tonight on the slate. Continue to like and subscribe to that page so you can check out all the playoff games that we will be bringing you this postseason. Every single playoff game that we'll have a video for as we move forward here. So until we see you next, happy betting.